Welcome back at another video. In this video we are going to take a look at the new wavestate native. This is a new VST from Core, and the first time you start it up it can be quite intimidating because it's a deep synth with lots of things that influence the sound. In this tutorial we are going to take a look at what all these things are and how to create your own sounds, and let's look at the basics. It's gonna be a short tutorial. For the in-depth explanations of every feature, just look at the other tutorials for the hardware wavestate on my channel. But this tutorial will get you started creating your own sounds and understanding the key concepts of the wavestate native. So when you first load up the wavestate native, you will get this specific ARP, and when you play a sound, you see that all kind of meters are running and you hear an arpeggiator, and you have no idea what to do. So basically this is the overview screen, and it has all the key elements of each step on this screen. But we want to try to program our own sounds, and let's do that. To create your own sounds you have to load up an init performance, because all kind of modulations are in the default preset. So let's load an init performance. Go to here, type in init performance, and here you will see the init performance from the wavestate. So double click it, and when you load it now, it will have one layer activated, and when you play it, you hear a synth wave go to a sound. So what is wave sequencing? Well, wave sequencing is basically a set of samples that you can use together to create your own unique sound. And you can crossfade between every sample that you load, or you can play every sample in a rhythmic way. When we play it again, you will see that it first use 1 second to play the synth, and then 0.2 seconds for the saw, and then loops it again. So basically that's a wave sequence where 2 samples are crossfaded into each other to create that unique sound palette you are working with. So let's say you want to use the wavestate as a conventional synth, like a subtractive synth. The only thing you have to do to slot 1 is to say that the type is gate. That will mean that it will only play the first step. And now you hear that there is no crossfading, and that it will. And basically, if we delete this step, now we have the saw. So just like an ordinary synth, you can load up your own samples by clicking on the sample. And if we, for instance, load up a super saw, let's see where that is. For instance, this one. You will hear that it continues to go. Now we have a standard sound, and we have the synthesis tab, and that's basically your standard synthesizer controls, like the filter, the pitch, the envelopes. So let's create quickly, for instance, a bass sound. We set it to here. We set the envelope to maximum so that the filter envelope is using that filter. And you will hear that just like you are used to in an ordinary synthesizer. If you want to create a pad sound, then just set the envelope for the amplitude to something like this, 1.7 seconds. A little bit of decay, slow down. Open the cutoff. So this is how you do it for ordinary sounds that you want to use. But let's make a wave sequence sound. We set it to note again, and we are going to use a couple of samples to crossfade into each other. So let's add 4 samples, and we have 2 red markers here, and those are the loop start of the end step. See, it's running, and the loop end. So now it says use 4 steps of this and loop it again. So let's do that. We also want to have 4 timing layers. That's not mandatory, but this way we can say for each step how long it will take. So that's a good thing. Oh, let's make it longer. Timing lane A4, A4. Okay, let's load up 4 different samples to do this, and we are going to create a, well, yeah, let's create a an electric piano with a pad sound behind it. So let's create the pad sound, synth category, and let's create the flute pad. For instance, the plug is verb H. It would be nice if we have some atmosphere added, because it's a wave sequence synth, so let's do some quite experimental things. Atmos 4, and in the last sample slot we are also going to use the plug is verb H again. If we play it now, you see that it uses the timing of the length of each step. So we say, hey, let's use 1.6 seconds for that, 5 seconds for that, well, around 3 seconds for that, and 8 seconds for that. Although we are going to do something different later on. So, and you hear that those samples don't really crossfade into each other. So we have to say to the crossfade time, we just have to make it bigger so that it merges the both sounds together. So let's create some. This is a little bit to experiment. Make it a little bit shorter. Okay, now it would be nice if it stays on that last sample, because I don't like the round trip for that, and we know that we can use the type gate to actually put a gate on that slot so that it doesn't run to the next gate. And now it will stay forever on this sample. It won't go back to the first one because we set a gate on timing step 4. Now it would also be nice if we play it that this one has a different pitch. And we have this pitch lane, and we can say, hey, whenever it reaches step 4, the 4th sample, play that sample 12 semitones higher. So now we have it a little bit higher. And the only thing we have to do now is add some reverb to blend it together. And I use a preset for my own, but you can use any overb algorithm that you like. So that's really nice. I've also noticed that the Atmos sample is a little bit too loud. So select it and trim it a couple of dBs lower so that it's better in the mix. Okay, very nice. We wanted to create an electric piano for that, so let's add a new layer, layer B, and we've said that on the first step we only want to use one EP sample for that. So load a sample for that EP and do something from the keys category and select, I don't know, Super Bright. Yes, that's okay. But you also hear that when you hold it, that it will keep continuing in the sustain phase, and we don't want that. We only want the attack of the electric piano, because the rest is played by the wave sequence we just created in the pad sound in layer A. So let's lower the sustain to 0 in the amplitude envelope and give it a little bit of yeah, that's okay. In the synthesis tab we are going to say a little bit lower cutoff, and let's add the filter for that. Yeah, that's good. But I want an overtone for that on that key, on that piano. So add another layer, layer C, and we'll do the same trick. Set it to gate, remove the step, and let's create a bell sound. I don't know, crystallize. Yeah, that's okay, but let's add the pitch to 12. Yeah, really good, but we want the same envelope for the amplitude on that bell sound. So you can use the right mouse and set copy envelope, go to layer C, and then paste the envelope, and it has the same behavior. Yeah, that's really good. And when we activate the pad now, and if you hold the note, it will continue all those specific things we've just created in the wave sequence. So that's really nice. And well, you can do a lot of different things now to even get it better. Let's add some master EQ. I hear that in the bottom line. There are some annoying frequencies, so a simple trick to find that is to set, for instance, a Q factor to the maximum and listen where the annoying frequency starts to sound. That's annoying frequency, and now we just can lower that. So now there's a lot more room in that area. Let's add a little bit of high end and lower the to make it less muddy. And I think let's make it a little bit shorter so that the sound effect comes in a little more quickly. Well, that's good, but it's not velocity sensitive yet. So let's add some velocity sensitivity to the electric piano, and that's done in the synthesis tab. And with the velocity, we can say, well, for instance, 50 is a good starting point, and for layer C, let's do the same. More or less. And you can set the level from the pad a little bit softer so that you can put it better in the mix. And that's basically it. The first steps to create a wave sequence sound. It's not really hard once you know how to do this. So I hope that's enough to get you started and have fun creating your own sounds.